That was stupid. Do you know what? This is actually just powerful. I'm just gonna text something. You guys been like 11 minutes and I'm being a fucking idiot. Next one. Can you please move to that?
The writer's strike is finally over, and I am so happy to tell you that we fucking won. This is the contract that we just spent the last 148 days fighting for, and let me tell you what's in it. A guarantee that a minimum number of writers be hired on every show. A guarantee that comedy variety writers like me be paid the same in streaming as we are in TV. Provisions that mean better pay for screenwriters, better pension and health for writing teams, script fees for staff writers for the first time, and protections against AI that mean that AI can't write scripts, edit scripts, or undermine our rights and credits. And we won a success-based residual. So for the first time, when more people watch a movie or TV show on streaming, the writer that created it will make more money too. These are all things that they swore to us 5 months ago they would never give us in a million years. But we went on strike and we hung together until they were forced to come to the table and meet our demands. And we changed not just our industry for ourselves, but for every writer who comes after us. And I am so proud of us. Thank you to every writer who made this victory happen. And thank you to every fellow worker who stood with us. We are going to stand with you as well, because what this proves is that when workers stand together, we win. And now, let's get back to writing.
If you had a bad day, then don't feel disappointed. It could always be worse. Imagine running into a wall with a boner and breaking your nose first. Ooh.
Lady, hear me tonight.
Go to bed. You should go to bed. Yes, I see you. I know you're there. You're laying down already. Put the phone down and go to bed.
Do you think birds get fear of, like, walking?
Gonna need a human skull, and I can't have you ask any questions. Only if you also don't ask why. What? Okay, sure. Pulls out 7 pristine human skulls from their bag. Take your pick. Wizard. This one's 5.
Have you ever heard the expression, don't judge a book by its cover? No. What about, it's what's inside that counts? Looks can be deceiving. Doesn't ring a bell. What's wrong with you? Oh, that one I've heard.
So yeah. Whip. You know, it's the same day in Insanity and Madness at this point. Well, technically not the same day, but you get it. So, yeah. This is the second season. And besides the small differences, I find this interesting. I do like the season 1 different to the season 2, because the season 1 feels like one person slowly sort of discovering the world, like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, learn. And this is more him learning about... The first one was about how I'm learning the rules, and this is more learning society, which you did do in the last part with the fighting arc, which I do think is really interesting. But this is sort of learning society, some sort of like efficacy, and learning about people's moralities. Which morality was a focus, but it didn't look like the main character had that on the front of his head. But this is more like, oh, this is happening, and he's acting like an individual, a human. Where besides, I think, until like a certain point, you don't get an inner monologue for like the main character, because obviously he couldn't speak, so he wouldn't really have inner thoughts. Besides the last arc, and it slowly is developing into that. Slowly developing that sort of sense. But yeah, like the first season, which hasn't been that long, so that's why this one's going to be a bit more shorter, even though it's just as good. It is really good, it is really exciting, and it does create some absolutely, genuinely awesome moments throughout the series, and I do honestly believe that. So it is just really good. So yeah, it is good. Some of the moments I do like is during later on, you have this character who is flamboyant, but slowly he realizes about sort of like others and like how to use what he has available, and how he develops through this is really interesting and really insane. There's so many moments, including him hiding because like, oh, I don't know what to do. The whole arc around like through the last season, there was a specific person who hunted him down in season 1, which I didn't mention too much. But the whole thing was she was a threat through. She was around during near the beginning of the second sort of period with one of the young girls, this one here, but then disappeared until the end, where she became a more bigger threat. Whilst in the beginning it was more like she was part of the bigger organization, she as an individual became the focus. Which is interesting, I do like that. But they bring her back as the religion still exists and you have the descendants. And I like the idea that she told the wrong history, even down the line, many years later, which is really interesting. He meets one of the descendants, like, oh, it's this and that and this and that. And then when he tells the truth, he's horrifying. Because sometimes, yeah, you might have come from people who've lied about your past, lied and misrepresented it. But that doesn't mean, like, you agreed with what they did. Again, it's just bad. Bad people in the past can sometimes mess up history by rewriting it. And I like it that they don't treat it as like, oh, maybe she has a reason, maybe she did this. Because yes, those people do exist, but I do like the idea that they're like, okay, this is why? What? Like, why is this a thing? And then the religion gets broken, which is really interesting. Alongside the devil arc, which I also find really interesting, him slowly being like, I am a demon, which is really interesting. The other thing which I find interesting is the end, where you see an amazing moment of all of them coming back, and you realise before where it's like they came back and you don't know why, and then when you figure out why, it's like, this makes sense, and it's really interesting. So yeah, it's just building up the world, building up the story, and how they're like introduced season 3. I'm like, please, I want more. Give me more. So I definitely 100% recommend. So yeah, it is really good. It is really awesome, and it's definitely worth watching. And definitely, I am super hyped for season 3. Also, I thought it was going to be like a minute less, but it isn't. Well, it is technically going to be a minute less, but I thought it was going to be like a minute, 2 to 3 minutes less, but sure. Anyway, it's really good and 100% worth watching. So I hope you enjoyed, and good night. So yeah, I could do you one better. Here's a comment video. I know it's been made by Keith again to do this, but yeah, here's a comment video. Yeah. So yeah. Here you go. So, this is going to be a lot more of a longer end version of it. But not only am I going to give you my favourite, I would like to talk about why I would put certain people over others. Because there is a reason. So, at the bottom, and I am putting it this way because I think it's more interesting, I would put Peter Capaldi. Because, just before we let you know, if any of you watched the original Doctor Who before Disney, before the original Marvel that started in like the 90s, I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I've only watched episodes, and I have watched a couple of them, so I do know some of it. And I am, like, if it comes up, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, that's from one of the old ones. And I do know a couple of the newer ones, especially in this era, and I feel like there was one in Matt Smith with like this like Mars being that was in the sort of Matt Smith. Besides the point, I've only watched since then, so that's where I am. So I didn't like Peter Capaldi. I knew he was meant to be a grumpier version, but because it was the grumpier version and I didn't thought it did just as good, that's why I don't really think he was as good. I just, compared to the other doctors, yeah, he's just grumpy and annoyed. And there are some stuff I like. I like the idea of him being philosophy and all of the cast being like having this philosophy nature to it. And I do like that idea. Him being like thinking through decisions and this and that. I do like that, and I do think that's an interesting idea with the character. That sort of like having questions. I think they talk about like how time works as a theoretical concept of like moving images, and we only represent time because we're moving through the images, which is really fun. And then the other one, which was the bootstrap paradox. But mostly, I'm not a big fan. Above it, I would put Jodie Whittaker. But Jodie Whittaker, I think, did an amazing performance, and I love her as a performance. I just don't think, like other people, I think the scripts were a bit too ham-fisted, which negatively impact. I still think it's really good, and I wouldn't say it's bad. I just think the story scripts were a bit too into it. Above it, I think is Christopher Eccleston. I do love that Doctor, but this is more, it is a good Doctor, but because I've got more of the others, I just felt like it wasn't enough. I would have preferred more, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, I'm just sad it's only one season, where if you look at all other Doctors, besides the current one, because he's still on his sort of thing, most Doctors get like 3 seasons. And Christopher Eccleston has only got 1 season, which is a bit. And also, I am just double checking with my phone just to make sure I pronounce the names correctly. Above that, I would put David Tennant, because I liked his Doctor. After Christopher Eccleston, I do think they improved with the character. I do like how it carries on. You do still get the moments, but you slowly get the more whimsy side to it, which I think someone's comment on. I don't know who was. I think it was someone. I don't remember exactly who, but made a comment like sometimes. What is it? Maybe something. I don't know. I can't remember from my head. But like saying like some of the regeneration are taking from other people. I think it's Who Culture. Yeah, Who Culture. Who said that theory, and I feel like, yeah, that could work. That could be interesting. Maybe they're just taking some sort of ideas from one to the other, and I do find that like pretty interesting. And they're getting a bit more like playful, a little less serious. He does still have the serious moments, but he's a bit more like fun, human characteristics. So that's really interesting. Obviously, what was my number one, but now isn't, was Matt Smith. Because I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The first Doctor Who episode I ever watched was The 11th Hour. I think I came across it onto TV. I was like, oh, this is really good. And then I was like, wait, there's another episode and another one. And then I carried on watching it, and then slowly but surely I found on History there was other Doctors, and like, wait a second, this was the Doctor, and I was like, oh wait, there's reincarnations, there's this. So I watched, I think one of the first episodes, I think it was just the first one that I really watched. That wasn't the Matt Smith one. Was the David Tennant? What's the episode? It's like the one in New York where they're building the tower. And Andrew Garfield's in the episode, and it's about building the tower and trying to make this tower. And then there's Daleks, it's a 2-parter, and they're trying to revive people and turn people into pigs. But that was the first time that I'm like, oh, reincarnation. And I saw the previous 2 reincarnation, which because at a certain point I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back and watch it. I think that's roundabout near the end, because I was basically watching the episodes when they sort of came out, maybe like 1 or 2 days off, but like when they came out at school for like the whole of Matt Smith's run. And I try and do that now, but I don't, because I think, again, I liked how Matt Smith had this whimsy, had this fun nature. I didn't know what he was going to say. And it was like this sort of like, huh. And like he would say odd lines and then he would do odd things. And like, I like that. And I do like that sort of characteristics. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and watch the rest because I found it interesting. And I loved the evolution of it. Which is why I put Christopher Eccleston so low. Because I like the idea of him constantly changing, constantly trying to improve. But then you have Peter Capaldi, is it? Yeah, Capaldi. Who went from positive to again. Which, again, probably makes sense for the actor. He has that sort of, like, thing. And it's, each regeneration has a different way of playing it. Which I still think is interesting. But I do think this is really, really interesting. Anyway, that's where I came from. I originally watched Matt Smith, and the original list would have been Matt Smith, David Tennant, and Trudy Gatwick. Then when the next one came out, I would have put Peter Capaldi at the bottom, and then putting Jodie Whittaker between Peter Capaldi and Christopher Eccleston. But recently, we've all know there's been a new Doctor. And technically, I could be like, there was another new Doctor, another David Tennant. But the David Tennant still plays it like he sort of did in the other one. Sort of that sort of mindset. A little bit more serious than he might have done. So I'm not really going to consider them two separate ones, because it is still somewhat how he would have played it. In a way. So, yeah. And then recently, we've got a new Doctor. Obviously, the marketing, which is Shutwi Gatwick. And even now, I still feel like I always mispronounce it. And that is now my favourite Doctor. Originally, it was Matt Smith, but I'm like, oh, no, nothing can beat Matt Smith, because I've got like these rose-tinted glasses, and I'm not really going to be able to take them off because I like him that much. He's really good. But when I watch him in some of the episodes, I absolutely like it. He still has that sort of like sort of whimsy nature with a more like emotional, being able to be like, I can be emotional, I can have emotions, which I love, alongside that sort of like, oh, this, oh, that, and thinking. And I feel like the reason why he might be fearful for the things he is makes sense. And him as a character, I just absolutely love. He is, again, I for a long time was like, oh, no one's going to beat Matt Smith because I've got nostalgia glasses. He was my first Doctor. And I don't think I'm going to get a second one. Matt Smith's going to stay in second place for all of eternity. But I don't think no one's going to beat Matt Smith in second place. But yeah. That's my favourite Doctor. So yeah. There's a long episode, but I just wanted to talk about why I put all of them in that order, and I thought it would be opening to discussion. Who's yours? Let's go to home. Welcome to the first couple of minutes of Absolute Madness, because why am I doing this? All your battles and all my rhymes. You have failed and perished 557 times, and that's a lot. So yeah, quit game. I hope you enjoyed. Oh, shoot, I'm already here. Also, I realize I don't need to worry about parodying. The audio work does the ba 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 da. Does the audio work da 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 da. I need to check my lips and check it's working. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, for the love of everything. Yes. Is it still having a problem? Is it still having a problem? So yeah, like a couple of these, I've got a couple of TikTok comments. There's going to be none of these technically, because all of these are 4 comments, 5 this, and 1 review. So this is going to be insane. But thank you, even though it's been long, thank you for giving me this. So yeah, I realized I might need to speed this up a bit because I tried recording it and I didn't have enough time. So I have this one, usually have a sword, like you can tell with the hand, but because I constantly move it, I keep it to the side, and plus it still looks cool without it. This one's a candle. You can kind of tell with up and down. You can still use it, the wick sort of there, but I don't because I like keeping it as a skull and it looks kind of really Halloween-y, and I have a Halloween-y feeling throughout the year. And then I also have this one, which legitimately I want this thing around the head as a piece, alongside this, which I both got from Newcastle, and now I can slow down a bit. I was like, and then I was like, I actually have some time. And these 2 are my favorite, ironically. I know you prefer, the person who's calling me this, prefer more of this one. And I do like this one. And I do agree, this is really cool. But I just like the steampunk. Definitely these sort of gears that go into the goggles, which are inside there. I'm going to stand here. So yeah, this is interesting because at first it shows like a group of people, and the one thing I like is, one, it feels like, and I feel like it's slightly on purpose, like we have just been chucked into the middle of a story. The story started and then we're just now here, which kind of is on purpose. If you know the context of the story, there was 2 other people doing the 2 other things near the beginning, and then the sort of main character sort of gets into the situation and jumps in, which is really interesting because like you can tell that these 2 have had something before, because obviously, and when you slowly sort of like get used to like, oh, here's another person joining, it just feels like it's going on that sort of like, oh, okay, and this person, and it's really interesting that way, because at first it's like, okay, what's this, what's that, and then it's like, as it goes on, it's sort of like, oh, okay, this is happening, and then this is happening, and then figuring it out with all of that stuff. Definitely, when you get, this is one of the things, you get more and more people added, and the same thing for like the first person joining happens, where everyone sort of starts on like this field, they get chucked in the water. So you get used to like, oh, there's our next player, which is like really interesting as an idea. So yeah, one of the only things that I think is important to mention there's only, I think, 2, actually 3, I love I keep adding more, but there's smaller and smaller moments from this, which I think is of note to this. Is one of them is when they sort of realize, because earlier, which obviously, as some stuff with anime goes, is like, oh, I'm going to do this murdering because, like, yeah, fine, be fair, who cares? Like, all of these people, like, have this sort of, like, mentality of, like, oh, it's just a video game, like, I think. Because it makes sense, like, you literally get jumped into a new world, magic exists, and you can clearly not die if at least one of your party is alive. So clearly, this is a video game, because that's how sort of, like, video games work, is, like, besides the fact that if your protagonist, you're beefed anyway, that doesn't exist, which is interesting, it's a good idea. But, like, if, like, one person dies, revive is a thing, or, like, they just wait until the timer goes down, which, like, oh yeah, video games logic. And then it's like, oh no, these aren't NPCs, these are real people with like real lives and like real this and real that. And when like he figures it out, I was like, I like murdered a guy. Which is like, oh, this is so, and like I get it. because like he didn't know what he was doing. And then when it was with the other moment, which I like, with one person like, oh, don't kill. Yeah, it doesn't affect me, but because you killed before, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be a good person anymore. It's like, I like that idea of like, because if you went to any like morality, I would still be like, yeah, you thought this was just a video game. Like, you were wrong, like, really badly. But I do like that idea that is looked at in an interesting way. And I do think it's something that I love that they look into. Again. And the last one I love is the memories, which is a bit weird because like the whole thing about the memory one is like, oh, she's not who she says she was and she's actually older. But I love the idea that she made a fake person and the kid fell in love with her. Not because of kid and grown up, because that is wrong. But the idea of like, if someone acts nice enough and gives someone, like, they're gonna care. I don't know why, I just find that, one, weird, because, like, that is kind of weird in context, because, like, that's anime, but I like the idea of, like, sometimes you just need to be fucking nice to people and not be dicks. I love it when I say about, like, it's rocket science, and it was like, oh yes, I've discovered this source of the century, don't be an arsehole. Don't be an a-hole, and, like, people will care. But yeah. So yeah, I do think this is an interesting series, definitely because it keeps, like, changing and, like, having this nice flow to it. But it's, like, really nice and really enjoyable. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and good night. Da-ba-da-ba-da-da, move on, please, single player, move away. No idea how to. Okay, let me try that, because I think that I just messed myself up.
Aren't you so sweet?
Not a cat. Not a cat! Playground phone. I don't know who you are, but I will find you and I will kill you.
What?
This is for just the 300 people that get to watch my video when it doesn't blow up. Thanks for watching.
And what do we do when it's payday? We watch all that money come flowing in. Oh, yeah. And then we watch all that money go flowing right back on out. Wait, what? What?
Things you never hear in a school assembly.
After the unfortunate death of Mr. Thomas, his woodwork class now have the sad task of building...
The skies of this entire world are mine. My family tamed them, and now I own them.
Tame the sky? What does that mean?
It means I'm Kazran Sardik. How can he possibly not know who I am?
Well, just easily bored, I suppose. So, I need your help then.
Make an appointment.
There are 4,003 people in a spaceship trapped in your cloud belt. Without your help, they're going to die.
Yes.
You don't have to let that happen.
I know, but I'm going to. Bye-bye. Bored now.
So yeah, time to predict what I'm going to say. So yeah. Also, ignore this. This is technically the first video that this is in a part of. But because I don't mind it, I'm going to keep it in. But this is my new microphone. Say hi. This is probably the first video because the one that's actually used is this one, which will be uploaded onto the 9th. So hello people on the 9th of October. That makes this even weirder. That makes me experience every more. I'm not on the 1st, I'm on the 9th. So it'll be like 9. Never mind. Doing maths of seeing like if I could just shove some horror movies in, it'd be on the 9th. Anyway. And also the Play Game video, which is on November the 1st. Which is really weird that you're gonna get a lot of carpet and play gigs without this microphone. Anyway, But this is going to be here, that's why I've got it here. It's just weird to say, but it is going to be here. It's a new mic to make it sound a bit better. I'm always trying to make this, improve the quality. Like one day I would like improve my computer and see if I can get that on to like improve all that stuff. So yeah. But with this, originally I was like, okay, I need to watch some stuff while I'm downloading. And I'm doing it less now because I want to like, I don't really when I'm at work because I don't really have a Wi-Fi that I like. So I'm good, besides if I get weekly content, because if I upload those and go through those through the weeks, I get less of it. So when I'm at home, I'm either watching YouTube or Psych, mostly YouTube. But Psych was one of the things where I was like, oh yes, I can do this, and it seemed a bit too cheesy for my liking. But yeah, it's pretty good and pretty entertaining. It is enjoyable in that sort of way of like, that sort of like, it's basically if like you had something like Young Sheldon or Sherlock, but instead of being honest, being like, yeah, I've got like an IQ of this and I can do this many skills and you know, it doesn't really matter, I can just do it. They just say they're psychic and say they can predict the future. There are some times where I watch anime, I just realized, but besides the point. Just going against my word. Anyway, that's not part of the video. But this is just fun. This is just really interesting in that sort of like way. I thought some like, oh, I don't get it. But as you slowly get in, you get the jokes. They slowly go into like, you have these two at the behind the scenes being like arguing sometimes. But when they're like doing the whole bit, it's like, oh, and this? It's a full, you could tell they're having fun with this. Because it's sort of like, I can see it now. Oh, I can smell it. It's strong. It's odory. And then you have the other person back over like, saying some stuff. I don't know why I said smell, because smell isn't one of them. But you get my point. It's like, I see it now. It's this guy. And it's like ma, 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 ma. Marmalade is an old-fashioned ad commercial. It's like, yes, that's when they came out. And then they have this weird way to go around with it. It's funny in the way that one. The one. So yeah, I am going to hold this back because this is the small bit of review that I love. That, if I'm correct, is in season. I don't think it is. Maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, it is really good. And really entertaining. So yeah, one of the things I do like is they have this sort of like lesson, and I have talked about like definitely with Go Go Loser, whereas like, oh, it's really interesting how they don't have like this sort of formulaic where they go out of like, here's the thing that we need to learn, here's the monster that learns it, and in a way I'm not against that. I do like Power Rangers because of that, but I do also like the idea of it's not directly always being bad, which is really interesting. So sometimes you would have the lesson being, you would go into this, develop, I don't know why I said it in that way, but anyway, but through this you have this short quick bit. Besides, in one episode, Professional in season 1 is in 3, which I'm not going to review yet. There's a lot of business space. It's good. Anyway, the one thing that I do like in this is that they do have this sort of like small intro about it, and then they learn and improve from like, oh, this is the lesson I told you from the past, and you slowly improve from that, which I like. I know I have talked about, but I do like stories that don't like have that sort of repetitive nature. But the reason why I'm finding it here is because, unlike it being like that sort of like Power Rangers, which I still do like, I love it. I keep through Go Go Power Rangers and this, I'm insulting Power Rangers to hell and back, but I don't. I actually do respect it and find it like really like entertaining. Just the one thing that I do like is the idea that it sort of says what it's going to be. Like with the episode that mostly deals with the bounty hunter. They bring in the bounty hunter for like the past, and it's like, oh yeah, this happens. And with lying, they have a thing with lying, and it's less. Oh, here's a lesson, because there's no lessons. Also, I hit my mic. Didn't hurt. I just was an idiot. It's like, oh, here's not lessons. Here's just things that happen. Here are parts of life, like lying, like telling the truth, like X, Y, and Z. It's all sort of like that sort of idea of what is happening. It's like, oh, you have this and you have that, and you slowly build this concept of like what the story will be talking about in a way, and what the crime will be in a way. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, this was way longer than I thought it was going to be, but yeah, sure. So yeah, overall, I like it, and I find it really entertaining and really enjoyable. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed, and good night. Okay, let me just boom, and then there's one more, which is okay. Let me just. Okay, that's good. Oh shit, that was. So I'm just going to start. I'm just going to quickly go downstairs. Just give me a sec. Starting and I put the wrong date again. We are starting, I put the wrong date again. It's still 29th, it should be the 1st.
Oh, you do seem to keep turning up like a bad penny, young man.
Force of habit.
Can I offer you something? Tea, seed cake. Oh, a glass of Amontillado.
No, thanks. We've had a skinful already, as you might say.
Very funny.
Yes, I'm the doctor, you're nuts, and I'm going to stop you.
I'm afraid, Mr. Sweeten, I cannot allow that.
Ah, yes. Would it be impolite to ask why you and Mr. Sweet are petrifying your workforce with diluted prehistoric leech venom?
So when do we get to meet him? This silent partner of yours, why is he so shy?
Mr. Sweet is always with us.
You seem to have a very close relationship, you and your pal.
Oh, yes, Doctor. Exceedingly close. Symbiotic, you might say.
Yeah, the one that's like last week of September, which will be airing on Monday, which I'll be glad. So I don't constantly looking at me like da 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 da. I just hit my ankle.
Oh, of course. This is where I come in.
Who is this man?
That's just what I was wondering. Oh, that is skinny. That is proper skinny. I've never seen it from the outside. It's like a special effect. Oi! Ha! Matchstick man. You're not.
Compensating? For what? Regeneration, it's a lottery.
Oh, he's cool. Isn't he cool? I'm the doctor and I'm all cool. Oops, I'm wearing sand shoes.
What are you doing here? I'm busy.
Oh, busy. I see. Is that what we're calling it, eh? Hey? Hello, ladies.
Don't start.
Listen, what you get up to in the privacy of your own regeneration is your business.
One of them is a Zygon.
I'm not judging you.
You ask and you shall receive. Full of its person. That is all. Let's go and do it. One for this because it's late. Okay. So yeah, time to bring up the tempo. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. So yeah, this is interesting, and I do sort of like it. It sort of has this sort of like fun action stuff with like sort of like talking about like music, but besides that, it's good, but not. Again, I like it. Is there other stuff that I feel like could be better? Yes. So, yeah, I do admit that. I do like it, though. I do think it's a good sort of, like, action stuff. And I do like the villain is someone who's, like, this sort of, like, let's get rid of some people. And I do like that. But besides that, it's just, again, this is also because this is late and I still need to edit. So, yeah, I know this is stupid. Let's just rewrap. I'm not going to re-record because I'm an idiot and I don't want to just keep doing this, so I'm just going to carry on. It is good. I do like the designs, and there are a couple of things I want to talk about. Two, actually. But they're the spoiler section, so why don't we get into that instead, actually? So yeah, I do think this is insanely good and really great with a lot of things in it that I do like. The two things I like is you have these two characters, and when you learn about her original personality, 54321, a little bit of a hint, but she dies and becomes this character. You learn a bit about it in like a flashback episode, but that idea, because you have one episode and then you go into this sort of thing. I don't know when specifically episode 1 happens, but episode 1 happens in between the most of the episodes, because they're on the drive when it's episode 1 they haven't started yet. Maybe it's like after like season episode 2, like they go to the town and they're driving to there. But I do think I do like it, because I like the idea, how tragic it is, and I like how they open with this. And then they go into the sort of next story with the next thing, with like, oh, here's how it all started, with this and that and the other. And it's so interesting. Also, 54321, I like how they are unapologetic, because there's so many shows that like, if you do this, you will die, and like, you could die because of this. I like that they don't hold back. It's not like, and they all magically lived and lived happily after ever after. No, they died. There's some shows that could have been like, and we save them and they're alive, and yeah, that it leaves a sour tone. But the day is saved. It's not like a bad bitch. It's not like, and we all died and the world ended and the sound took over. No. It is, they lived. It is, not they lived, but it is the world gets saved. But it is, the world gets saved and these two people died. Which some shows hold back on that idea, because, obviously. But with certain shows, I like when they don't. I don't think they should do it with everything. Absolutely not, that's a terrible idea. But I do think the fact that they didn't hold back and like, and people die, I like. And I think that's good because it shows that. And I like that idea. Again, it's just the idea of like death. It exists. And I think is really interesting as an idea. And yeah. One of the other things that I like, also I'm just taking a picture. Also, yeah, again, I do think it is a good series and I do enjoy it. It is just good. It has got a sad ending. And I have to admit that because it is quite sad. But I think that just helps with the story for what they're trying to do. And I do think it is a good ending. Even if it is sad, it just builds on what the whole thing was. And I do think it's really good. So I hope you enjoyed, and good night.
Okay, 1, 2,
can go, what? Is that this one? No, it's, I think, different. Nope, it's not, also not that one either. I will move. I am a dumbass. Why does this keep happening? Louise. I don't know why I say Maurice, but let's add Maurice to that phrase. Jeez Louise Maurice. Jeez Louise Maurice. I literally had it in my hand, and then it was gone. This head went into the wild winds. Oh shoot, I just realized. You couldn't have seen my face. You couldn't have seen my face. These aren't the same. Why are they the same? I don't want them to be the same. I want them to be different. Jeez. Louise Marie. No, go away. I'm sorry. Apparently something stuck in my teeth, but that's besides the point. It's amazing mac and cheese. Like it's just this, so not carpet that I'm doing this with. Useful. Okay, that was also. Oh wait. Shoot. Muting myself. That was. Well, I didn't mute myself. Oh, now I'm gone.
You want a staff job, and you want a staff job. Anybody care about what I want?
I do.
Shut up. Get out.
Next time someone asks if you hate them, respond with, I don't hate you. Hate is a feeling, and I feel nothing for you.
Anyone lose a fez? You. How can you be here? More to the point, why are you here?
Good afternoon. I'm looking for the doctor.
Well, you've certainly come to the right place.
Good, right. Well, who are you boys? Oh, of course. Are you his companions?
His companions?
They get younger all the time. Well, if you could point me in the general direction of the doctor.
Really? Yeah, really.
You're me? Both of you?
Yup.
Even that one? Yes. You're my future selves?
Yes.
Am I having a midlife crisis? Why are you pointing your screwdrivers like that? They're scientific instruments, not water pistols. Look like you've seen a ghost.
So yeah, if this is a good movie, I don't know why this is just fun. It's gonna. Also, I had headphones, but I'm not gonna go back and change it because why not? This is gonna be long anyway, so I'm not gonna deliberately go out of my way and change it. This is really, really good. So yeah, I was originally planning to watch the movies, but because certain things happened, I didn't, and I do absolutely regret it. I was like, oh, I should have watched it, I should have, and I didn't. But when I came onto, when I came onto YouTube, hence Google, I did watch it. So this is a movie that I bought from YouTube, which I do like that you can buy movies on YouTube. It is really fun. This movie, I am dying here. This movie I think is really, really good at the sort of like, the story. The story I think is really good with how it's done. Also, I'm just going to add this here because why not? I do like it. I do think it's really creative and really well done. At least in my opinion. I know it's simple in that sort of way. It's not like that complicated, but it is something that I do like. I also like the designs. A lot of the designs, I'm like, yes, please. I want more of this. If 2, yeah, you can make If 2. Please make a sequel, a TV series. I know that just fosters home for imaginary friends. I'm not even going to deny that. I know that's obvious. But please, for the love of everything, make this a thing. Make this an absolute thing. Because it is so... Well, I want more. Let me just double check. I'm on my computer. Let me just double check. If 2. I don't think they're going to make it F2. I want them to make it F2. No. Whoa. Okay. I don't think they're going to, because it's wrapped up in such a nice way that it's set up in such a good way that the way it ends, the way it's built up, I don't think it is going to get a sequel, but it's so good and so deserves it. The story, the character, the emotions, it's all so good. Again, I just want more. I just want more of this. And I do agree. Again, Ryan Reynolds. I don't know who's the other one. I think it's the guy from Shazam, the father of the young gun. Also, I don't know if this is the first one or if she's done anything before, but that's irrelevant. She did good. What do you need? Because I know one of the things about a lot of films where they have children complain with is young actors, which a lot of the time don't do great. Supposedly. I know that's a thing. In general, it's like they don't do too great in general. And I do understand that. I do, see that's a thing. I do understand that. But I do like this. This is so good, so amazing, and I so love it. Again, it's just brilliant. I can't complain about it. Absolutely not. But anyway. One of the things which I think is one of the most important things about this is the ending. But the one thing I like about the ending is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ryan Reynolds' character was an imaginary friend to the main character. And that idea of being like, oh. Because he never gives a reason why can't you see them? It's like, oh, I've always been able to see them. Why? That does not, you've always been able to see them. Are you like this or that? But of course, he's always been able to see them. He's one of them. Because that makes sense now. Because he never gave a reason. And, because, he said, oh, I've always been able to see. I've always been with them. Because he is one of them. Also, it throws into question the idea of if the whole thing was just imaginary and, her just coping. My interpretation is that it's still real in a sort of way. And all of that does have some level of realness to it. But it is really interesting of that idea to have imaginary friends. And some of them, oh, it's so good. Obviously, I have my favorite imaginary friend. It's not the one, I think it actually is in this one and this one. But the small sort of I think it's a, let me look at it. Lady. It looks like a sort of buggish type creature. It's really good. It's female and it's dancing and stuff. It's really amazing and really interesting, and I do love it. Again, like everyone says, and the images are literally just showing me here while I'm looking at the images of Imaginary Friend. It is just live action Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I'm not even denying that. fully is. But I do like it because they do talk about it. Because imaginary friends, as much as you can be like, oh, it's like not real, it's fake, like physically they exist. You talk about people, you talk about them physically interact, you talk about them physically doing this. At the end of If, you can be like, it was all in her sort of like imagination. And like that could be about, I do believe there's some part of it that's real. Like the physical location, maybe not, maybe that was just a blank hallway. And like they somewhat are visible. Like if you create a being like that, it becomes somewhat real. And maybe, and I know like oh, we cease to exist. I just imagine they go to the afterlife because having these people cease to exist, especially even though it's not my favorite, this guy, Blue, if he ceases to exist, I will cry. And I just imagine, like, if he ever just disappears, he just goes into the afterlife. Because you can't prove me otherwise. And I am going to keep that in my head forever. Anyway, it's just really good. And really fun. Definitely, like, I love the interview process where it's like, yes. Where we just interview them. It's really fun. So yeah, I do think this is absolutely one of the best films. If I'm correct, it came out this year. It's just really good. And like I said, I was originally wanting to be like, cinema. Need to see this in cinema. But because of stuff happening, I wasn't able to do that. Which is sad. But it is still really good. It is still really entertaining. And it is still really 100% worth to watch. Because of how brilliant some of this is. How brilliant some of like the lines, I say lines, like both lines of the animation and the lines of the script. Anyway, so yeah, just a second, I just forgot. Anyway, it is just brilliant. 100% worth watching. Go and watch it. There's no excuse. It's brilliant. So yeah, again, it's just amazing. This is why this is one of my 10-minute specials. I like some putting these at 10 minutes if it's absolutely good. Or there's like a lot. Again, there's some I don't, but I do like that less than 10 minutes. But I just like this one. So it's really good. And I hope you enjoy this video, even though it's long and insane and mad. And I constantly put the mic in and out and headphones in and out. But I hope you enjoy. And good night. And once being too risky. Yeah. I can do the other two. It's just the lights I'm having the problem with. I got it up. I'm like that. I'm like that. I got it up. I so improved.
Firmly grasp it in your hand. Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it. That ought to do it.
Nothing to see here. Just keep on scrolling. What are you doing? I said keep on scrolling. There's not... Oh, I see. You're a real bad boy, aren't you? Oh, or maybe it's a bad girl. Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh, fine. Go ahead and stay here and watch this video. But you had better not press that like button. Oh, hey, well, where you go with that thing? Oh, man. You have done it now. Oh, okay. I am done. Wait a second. Don't even think about following me. Don't. Oh, man. You're a real rebel, aren't you? Real rebel. Oh, man, you've got yourself into a big mess. I think they're getting ready to make a comment. Oh, man.
What is the point of living
like pizza. I want to eat more of it.
Going from one big 10 minutes one yesterday to a nice journey. So yeah, this one's going to be a bit shorter because this is more simple. Also, I love that this 10 minutes gone, but I'm fine with that. It's just hilarious. I like this. I do like this, but compared to something like the last one, which I think really is interesting and breaks down everything and talks about it really well, this is just this. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's not me being like, and this is terrible. Don't watch this. Why would you ever watch this? I put the people on Twitch because I'm still on Twitch. A journey through another world, raising kids while adventuring is good. It is absolutely good. The story is good. The kids are good. But it is just another guy goes to another world because he died because of an accident, because mostly by God or some other deity, and then he gets a specific power and also has to look after two kids. That is the more rare one. I fully admit that. But it is just that. That's it. It's not that great. It's not that interesting. It is interesting. It is good. I say about like, this is bad and horrible and I do not like it. But it's good. But that's all it is. Good. It is a great time. It is a great... This is not me being like it's mid. There is a difference. So calling something mid is mediocre. This is just fine. It is good. It is worth watching. It is entertaining. It is just nothing to talk home about. Also, I'm just going to take this so I can just remember to write it down. Obviously, I need to cut it down for YouTube, but yeah. But it's just good. Nothing more, nothing less. The other thing which I would also say I like, and this is really interesting, and actually the one non-spoiler thing that I just want to quickly say that I forgot to mention last one, I like the fact that they get dogs and the dogs are telepathic. It's not like, here's a dog, and the dog's like, oof. At the beginning you do, but then you get them being telepathic, meaning they can basically have a form of communication, which I do sort of like, because then you get like these, then you get like them having characters in a way. You do get them being like, yeah, we know conversations, we can talk to you, we can have ideas, and I like that. And you have them having the voices that like, oh, this means this and this means this. I like the bird speaks sort of like, and this is weird, sort of like Alfred. This isn't a thing, but it's sort of like a, and yes, I would, my name is rather regal. I do see there are two people ahead. And it's like that sort of like, if you know what that means, that like sort of like vocab of like using more oldish language, like oldish posh language, which doesn't exist anymore. The one thing which is a spoiler is that this section has been sort of spoilers. That one of the things I like is when it's like, oh, by the way, I found the dungeon. You did what? And I was like, I shouldn't have said that. Oh no. It makes sense because he could. I don't know why he didn't realize. Oh yeah, you're underwater. A place where you can't breathe and you have to go through a tunnel. You can't breathe through. Of course, no one's found it because it's impossible to get to. A lot of people probably saw that as like a deep underwater cave, and snorkeling gear does not exist yet. So obviously, no one's gonna just swim underneath there. That's reckless. Like, if you don't know it's there, you wouldn't go there because that's not really a good thing to do. But it's really interesting. But yeah, like I said, it is good, and I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's just good. Watch it if you want to. I'm not denying it. It is entertaining. It is worth watching. But it's not like spectacular. It's not like gonna jump at you being like, I'm amazing. Watch me. But yeah, it is good. So I hope you enjoy and good night. Question mark because I lose money. Good morning. I don't know why. But yeah, good night.
if I die first. Just know that. Once the lights go out, I'm chasing you up the fucking stairs.
And the Sand Guardian, Guardian of the Sand. Poseidon quivers before him! Fuck off!
So yeah, let's start with this. Yeah. The awkward intro. So yeah, this is not going to be too long because there's not a lot to talk about this. And I'm going to just say it now, it's not really going to be a spoiler section besides a couple of seconds of something. I wouldn't be surprised if this is less than like 2 minutes. Because this is just, it's funny, it's hilarious, and I get the point, I know the point, and in the ending I might actually talk about the point, but it's just odd, unusual. I don't know how to react or what this even is. But it is good, I do like it, I do understand theoretically what it is trying to say. It talks about desires, it talks about what it is, and talks about having connection. All of which, I think, definitely the last bit where they talk like, about the forgetting scene, which I'll talk about more later. But again, it's just really weird. And I think that's on purpose. I'm not going to blame them. I'm not saying it's doing a bad job. It's just, it's really funny in like a lot of the scenes. Like, they keep coming back to, it is a lot repetitive, definitely during the beginning bits, because they keep going to, like, you talk about a specific problem that connects to the desires, and then you go to, and this person, we found this body here, we don't know who it is, we let them go because we didn't have enough evidence to arrest them for X crime, and then it's like, yes, we've got them, we did something connected to what the crime did. He was yesterday's something, again, connected to what he was doing, or something like that. And then it was like, for people with no beginning connection or ending, we'll show you a brand new door for you. Is it love or desire? Desire extraction. And then they do a song being like, really interesting. And I do actually like some of the songs. And then they always go like, time to take back what I need. I won't take back to a need. XE. So like X fill in, like probably something. And then like, secrets behind my history. Again, it is good. It is good. It's just really weird. Again, that's the thing. It is just really weird. The only other thing I like, which is just less a spoiler, but more how it reacts to, is near the end, the bad guys have their own sort of like thing, because like there's one person who will be erased, and then it's really interesting how they came back. That's not the important part. One of the important parts that I'm going to mention is how he does this sort of thing, like, time to take back what I need, I won't take time to need it. Our relationship. I'm like, do you have a relationship, or are you talking about, like, yes, our relationship, because we went to Costa once, and that's about it. It's like, I know you're meant to be the monitor one, but you have at least some emotions, like, our relationship. But yeah, again, it's just good, but it's just kind of a bit odd. So if you're fine with it being a bit odd, it's okay. It's just because of that, it's just a bit odd. Again, I hope you enjoy, and good night, good morning, and all of it in between. So, review this, and then obviously, so that's 5. So let me just get that up. Which, I've already done a bit obviously. You know what we're going to do here? We're going to do some plaguing. It's slipping. Ah, that's bad. Ooh.